Betwaba, Alicia, and Trina. Hey, girls, hey. Betwaba. Live, okay. Betwaba, sister. Betwaba, TT. Come on. Go live. Okay, y'all. Just getting YouTube started. Okay, what's my title? 6 wives. You know, make sure it's good. Okay. All right, beautiful people. All right, okay. We live on YouTube and we live on Facebook. Sawubona, beautiful people. Yibo, sawubona, Tiffany. All right, y'all. So my title today, believe it or not, 6 wives, same husband. Do you know that is actually a real headline today? Like I saw this video yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday morning, I watched it. And I'm like, come on, you joking, right? So I clicked on, I thought it was clickbait. I clicked on it. This Regin, sure enough, got 6 wives. And guess what? All 6 of them is about 7 months pregnant. And they did a whole family photo shoot, y'all. I'm going to post that article. It's a video and it's an article. When this is over with, I'm going to post it in here so y'all can see this. Black dude over, and I think he's in Nigeria. He's a Nigerian movie star. I think they say he was a movie star, but he in there cheesing. I mean, he introducing all his wives and stuff, and they all dressed. They look cute, but I'm like, what's wrong with these women? Like, I'm just like, okay. And then I'm thinking, okay, maybe they really all 6 of them gold diggers because he got a lot of money. I'm just like, it baffles me because women got problems. I mean, well, let's see. Yeah, most women definitely have a problem with that, with multiple wives. But there are some women that don't mind that, and okay, whatever. But here's the thing. A lot of men are doing that and they can't handle one. But even in here in scripture, Yahuwah tells us, he tells the kings, because remember the kings set the example. The kings are not to multiply wives unto themselves. Why? Because it's going to create a bunch of havoc. But he said, everybody's smiling, TT. I know, everybody was smiling. I'm like, come on. Show me some scenes from regular life and what they really doing. And I'm never get into a fight, but I'm just like, clearly, it ain't all peaches and cream. I said, and on a medical standpoint, somebody getting something, because a man can't go into multiple women, even if it's just 2 women. It's going to change the pH balance of that woman's body. That's how a lot of times women can tell. It may not be some big disease, but you can't do that and be medically safe. if I can make that clear, but some people do it and they fine with that, because you even have some there are a couple I'll say it's more than a couple, because I had even looked and I was like, come on, they can't be serious about this. But there is a few women who actually come out and tell their story, and they they uploaded YouTube videos. You can look into it and you'll find some of them. And I'm sad to say it, but it's from I'm not, because I don't claim myself to be one of them. It's from the Hebrew community, because some of the guys, they're waking up to the truth. And they're waking up to the shenanigans and thinking they can multiply women to themselves. And I'm like, y'all still off. Y'all still got it wrong. You cannot have multiple women. But it is addressed in here. It's addressed in here. And here's what Yahuwah says about it, right? Yahuwah says that if you do this, you are to not negate anything. You're not to lessen the portion of what your first wife was getting. So let's just say, just example, so you can get what was said. Yahuwah said, if you have one wife and you're used to, and this what, let's just say this wife requires that you, the husband, sleep with her 5 days a week, and plus you're giving her such and such money or whatever. She could have her own thing, but whatever you're giving to this first wife, you cannot lessen the portion of this first wife if you're to take on a second wife. And you are to give this second wife what she requires as well. Essentially say you have to be able to pay for them both. You know, I'm just like, yeah, that was probably a deterrent. But most people, they're like, oh yeah, if I can take care of them both, I can do this. So they looking at it the whole way. The whole point was, Yahuwah was trying to tell them, it'd be better if you just don't do it. But we see the shenanigans in here when they did do it, whether it was the wife saying, take my handmaiden and have a son, or if they went out and did it and constantly multiplied women to themselves, they always get themselves in trouble. The women, it does, because we're gonna read a story today where Leah and Rachel, two sisters, was going at it. But in defense for Jacob did not choose to marry two women. He was tricked by Rachel's father-in-law, the woman who he really wanted, and he decided he had to, fulfill the obligations of the father-in-law to get the wife he really wanted. So that's why this story ensues here. So yeah, so that title today is from a current headline today. Like I said, I'll post that in the comment section so y'all can read that if you haven't seen it already. And watch, a few people did a few videos on. They showed pictures in the video and everything, but I do that. But we're going to get into some historical evidence of this happening today. So, hold on. Did I freeze, y'all? I think I froze over here on YouTube. I see my face frozen over here. We're going to go ahead and get into this. Hold on. Am I frozen, y'all? Can y'all see me? I can't even move my screen. Hold on, y'all. Technical difficulties. Hold on. Hold on, let me fix this. What? Okay, let's put this up. That's not coming up. I think I'm frozen. I don't think I can't even type. Uh-oh. Hold on, y'all. What in the world? Yeah, it's complete for it's like stop. Hold on, let me close this if I can. I can't even close it. What'd I do? Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, people. We'll start it over. Let's see. Let's just restart it. If it'll do that. I'm completely frozen. I don't know what can happen. I think I hit something when I set this down, because the screen kept popping up and I just exited out of it. I can't even move this. What the world? I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, it's restarting. Okay, so we got a couple minutes. Let me write my stuff down here for today. We're on, and I got to do my intro. Genesis 28, 29, and 30. And we're going to pick up the extended story of this in Jasher, was it 31? Yep, Jasher 31. Okay, yeah, it was Jasher 31. And we're also going to jump over into the book of Enoch today, y'all. Let's see. Let me bring them back online. Probably because I didn't do the update yesterday. I should have did it. Okay. 680. Okay. All right, let's start this over. The mouse. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's bring this back up. Sorry, people. Oh, wait. Is it still this live now? Hold on.
Yes.
It can't be. Is it? No. It can't still be. No. Okay, let's start this over. That thing's still saying live now. If I'm recording, I don't even know. Well, it's going to stop here in a minute, I think. We're going to have... It says it's still live. Hold on. Live now.
Scan has completed. Warning. Issues have been detected that need your immediate attention. Click on Clean Now to fix these issues.
This thing gets on my nerves. Okay. Okay, stream. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, it took me back to that last live video. Let's see, go live. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're back live, y'all. Okay, make sure. Okay, y'all. Okay, we back live, y'all. Sorry. Okay, technical difficulties. It says video has been moved. Okay, yeah, because I hit that because it was saying it was still live. I don't know what happened, y'all. So okay, thanks for that, Tiffany, because I hit it and it was still saying live when I put it back on here. Okay, it's live now if you want to go back to it. Okay. All right, beautiful people. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we are back. Okay, let me go ahead and get started. Today is Saturday, November the 28th, 2020, day 10 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets and of the 3-year consecutive day count. It is day 680. Today, y'all, we are reading Genesis 28, 29, and 30. And we're going to go to Jasher 31 to fill in some of the missing pieces of this story. And then after we read Jasher 31, we're going to hop over to Enoch and we're going to backtrack just a little bit all the way back to Noah. I should have read this a few days ago when Noah was still on the scene. But I forgot about it. So when I was reading it yesterday, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. I needed to read that. So we're going to read Enoch chapter, which is the last chapter in the book of Enoch. That's Enoch 105, y'all. Okay, so it's going to answer a few questions for us. So let's go ahead and pull up the reading for today. Close this. Okay, nope. Okay. Over here. It's right here. Okay. This is 28? Yeah, 28. Okay. All right, y'all. Here we go. Smooth this up a little bit more. Okay. Genesis chapter 28. So Isaac called for Jacob, blessed him, and said, you must not marry any of these Canaanite women. Instead, go at once to Padan Aram, to the house of your grandfather Bethuel, and marry one of your uncle Laban's daughters. May Yahuwah bless you and give you many children, and may your descendants multiply and become many nations. May Yahuwah pass on to you and your descendants the blessings he promised to Abraham. May you own this land where you are now living as a foreigner, for Yahuwah gave this land to Abraham. So Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram to stay with his uncle Laban, his mother's brother, the son of Bethuel the Aramean. Esau knew that his father Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him to Padan Aram to find a wife, and that he had warned Jacob, "You must not marry a Canaanite woman." He also knew that Jacob had obeyed his parents and gone to Padan Aram. It was now very clear to Esau that his father did not like the local Canaanite women. So Esau visited his uncle Ishmael's family and married one of Ishmael's daughters, in addition to the wives he already had. His new wife's name was Mahalath. She was the sister of Nebaioth, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son. Meanwhile, Jacob left Beersheba and traveled toward Haran. At sundown, he arrived at a good place to set up camp and stopped there for the night. Jacob found a stone to rest his head against and lay down to sleep. As he slept, he dreamed of a stairway that reached from earth up to heaven, and he saw the angels of Yahuwah going up and down the stairway. At the top of the stairway stood Yahuwah, and he said, "I am Yahuwah, the God of your grandfather Abraham, and the God of your father Isaac. The ground you are laying on belongs to you. I am giving it to you and to your descendants. Your descendants will be as numerous as the dust of the earth. They will spread out in all directions, to the west and to the east, to the north and the south. And all the families of the earth will be blessed through you and your descendants. What's more, I am with you, and I will protect you wherever you go. One day I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have finished giving you everything I have promised you." Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, "Surely Yahuwah is in this place, and I wasn't even aware of it." But he was also afraid and said, "What an awesome place this is. It is none other than a house of Yahuwah, the very gateway to heaven." The next morning, Jacob got up very early. He took the stone he had rested his head against, and he set it upright as a memorial pillar. Then he poured olive oil over it. He named the place Bethel, which means the house of Yahuwah, although it was previously called Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, "If Yahuwah will indeed be with me and protect me on this journey, and if he will provide me with food and clothing, and if I return safely to my father's home, then Yahuwah will certainly be my God. And this memorial pillar I have set up will become a place for worshiping Yahuwah, and I will present to Yahuwah a tenth of everything he gives me." Genesis chapter 29. Then Jacob hurried on, finally arriving in the land of the east, and he saw a well in the distance. 3 flocks of sheep and goats lay in an open field beside it, waiting to be watered, but a heavy stone covered the mouth of the well. It was the custom there to wait for all the flocks to arrive before removing the stone and watering the animals. Afterward, the stone would be placed back over the mouth of the well. Jacob went over to the shepherds and asked, "Where are you from, my friends?" "We're from Haran," they answered. "Do you know a man there named Laban, the grandson of Nahor?" he asked. "Yes, we do," they replied. "Is he doing well?" Jacob asked. "Yes, he's well," they answered. "Look, here comes his daughter Rachel with a flock now." Jacob said, "Look, it is still broad daylight, too early to round up the animals. Why don't you water the sheep and goats so they can get back out to pasture?" "We can't water the animals until all the flocks have arrived," they replied. Then the shepherds moved the stone from the mouth of the well, and we will water all the sheep and goats. Jacob was still talking with them when Rachel arrived with her father's flock, for she was a shepherd. And because Rachel was his cousin, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and because the sheep and the goats belonged to his uncle Laban, Jacob went over to the well and moved the stone from its mouth and watered his uncle's flock. Then Jacob kissed Rachel, and he wept aloud. He explained to Rachel that he was her cousin on her father's side, the son of her aunt Rebekah. So Rachel quickly ran and told her father Laban. As soon as Laban heard that his nephew Jacob had arrived, he ran out to meet him. He embraced and kissed him and brought him home. When Jacob had told him his story, Laban exclaimed, "You are really my own flesh and blood." After Jacob had stayed with Laban for about a month, Laban said to him, You shouldn't work for me without pay just because we're relatives. Tell me how much your wages should be. Now Laban had 2 daughters. The older daughter was named Leah, and the younger one was Rachel. Now right here in this one verse number 16, they did not tell us the full extent of what Rachel and Leah were, which I'm not gonna give it away, but just remember that the older daughter and the younger daughter, but they left out a certain portion in regards to the older and the younger, right? Because when we think about that, we're thinking, okay, maybe Rachel was 35 and Leah was 25, older, younger. That's what we're thinking, but we'll get to it. You'll see. There was no sparkle in Leah's eyes, but Rachel had a beautiful figure and a lovely face. Since Jacob was in love with Rachel, he told her father, I'll work for you for 7 years if you give me Rachel, your younger daughter, as my wife. So you read it. Yeah, you read it right, Tiffany. I remember you made a comment about it, about Rachel's age the other day. Yeah, you read it right. I'll work for you for 7 years if you give me Rachel, your younger daughter, as my wife. Agreed. Laban replied, I'd rather give her to you than to anyone else. Stay and work with me. So Jacob worked 7 years to pay for Rachel, but his love for her was so strong that it seemed to him but a few days. Finally, the time came for him to marry her. I have fulfilled my agreement, Jacob said to Laban. Now give me my wife so I can sleep with her. So Laban invited everyone in the neighborhood and prepared a wedding feast. But that night, when it was dark, Laban took Leah to Jacob and he slept with her. Laban had given Leah a servant, Zilpah, to be her maid. But when Jacob woke up in the morning, it was Leah. What have you done to me? Jacob raged at Laban. I worked 7 years for Rachel. Why have you tricked me? Now the inquiring minds will want to know, how would you get these two mixed up? Like, you didn't know yourself that this was Rachel and not Leah? It's because they left out a detail when it told you that Rachel and Leah, they didn't give you specifics about what their ages were, but it only said that Leah was older and Rachel was younger. And it has a lot to do why Laban was able to trick him. Not only because it was dark, and we're gonna see why it was dark too, but you'll see. Okay. But when Jacob woke up in the morning, it was Leah. What have you done to me? Jacob raged at Laban. I worked 7 years for Rachel. Why have you tricked me? It's not our custom here to marry off the younger daughter ahead of the firstborn, Laban replied. But wait until the bridal week is over, then we'll give you Rachel too, provided you promise to work another 7 years for me. So Jacob agreed to work 7 more years. A week after Jacob married Leah, Laban gave him Rachel too. Laban gave Rachel a servant, Bilhah, to be her maid. So what I understood when I was younger was a misunderstanding. He married Leah. Then he promised to work for Laban another 7 years for Rachel, but he gave him Rachel a week after he married Leah. So essentially he got both the women within a week's time, but he stayed and he worked the extra 7 years for Rachel again. Okay, just so you got that. He didn't wait a whole another 7 years before he actually had Rachel. No, Laban gave him Rachel a week later after he married Leah, and he stayed and worked the extra 7 years. Okay, make sure we all on the same page here. So Jacob agreed to work 7 more years. A week after Jacob married Leah, Laban gave him Rachel too. Laban gave Rachel a servant, Bilhah, to be her maid. So Jacob slept with Rachel too, and he loved her much more than Leah. Then he stayed and worked for Laban the additional 7 years. And it tells us right here. But if you never read that, at least from my personal experience by hearing this story in church, I'm like, man, he had to wait a whole 7 years. But if you read it, it even tells you in here that a week later, Rachel became his too, and he stayed and worked that extra promised 7 years. All right. When Yahuwah saw that Leah was unloved, he enabled her to have children, but Rachel could not conceive. So Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben, for she said, Yahuwah has noticed my misery, and now my husband will love me. Trina said, I always thought he worked 7 more years first. Nope. Nope, he didn't. He promised to work 7 more years. And a week later, after he married Leah, 7 days later, then he had Rachel too. And he stayed and worked them extra 7 years that he promised. She soon became pregnant again and gave birth to another son. She named him Simeon, for she said, Yahuwah heard I was unloved, and he has given me another son. Then she became pregnant a third time and gave birth to another son. His name was Levi, for she said, surely this time my husband will feel affection for me, since I have given him 3 sons. Once again, Leah became pregnant and gave birth to another son. She named him Judah, for she said, now I will praise Yahuwah. And then she stopped having children. Now, for some woman, hold on. Now, for a woman where it says she was unloved, she sure was popping Jacob a lot of children, won't she? Jacob said he loved Rachel, but every night he was going in there to to conversate with Leah. I'm just saying. Okay, last chapter in here, y'all. Genesis chapter 30. Then we're gonna hop over to Jasher 31. I'm gonna be good today, y'all. Hold on. Genesis 30. When Rachel saw that she wasn't having any children for Jacob, she became jealous of her sister. Now, keep in mind how all this has happened, because these black folk, so it wasn't just, oh yes, master, go ahead and sleep with your first wife. It wasn't none of that. Y'all know how folk be acting. When Rachel saw that she wasn't having any children for Jacob, she became jealous of her sister. She pleaded with Jacob, give me children or I'll die. Then Jacob became furious with Rachel. Am I God? He asked. He's the one who has kept you from having children. Then Rachel told him, take my maid Bilhah and sleep with her. Now this is the first time, well no, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. This is not the first time we see this, because we know Grandma was doing the same thing. She pulled the same shenanigans with Granddaddy, Abraham, right? So what we would call this today, by the wife actually agreeing to this is what we would call today being a type of surrogate mother, where I know in the medical field they're not actually going to have sex with them person. They just extract the sperm and implant it into the womb of another woman, and she's a surrogate and carries the child and gives the child back to the couple, but that's what Hagar, she thought she could do it, but then she was like, nah, sis, I can't do this, Abraham, my man too. And that's when Grandma got pissed, sent away this servant woman and her child. This contract is broken, but it's the same. It's sort of like the same thing, so, but what they were saying, okay, take my maid and the child that you have with her, since I can't have children, she's going to bear it, and we're going to take the child and we're going to raise it. Essentially, that's what he was doing. Right. He likes some. Let me tell you, okay. It says here that Leah had weak eyes, but it also left out, we will see the details, right? Because when they told us about their age, they forgot to tell us something else. She was just as beautiful as Rachel was. And I don't really understand about why it says she has weak eyes. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the color was different or something. I don't know. But it said Leah had weak eyes, but Rachel didn't. But both of these women was bad. That's why Jacob was that's why Leah got more children. I'm telling you. Hold on, we're gonna see in a second. Hold on, let me finish reading this. Yeah, Grandma was fire, Alicia. Okay, then Rachel told him, take my maid Bilhah and sleep with her. She will bear children for me, and through her I can have a family too. So Rachel gave her servant Bilhah to Jacob as a wife, and he slept with her. Bilhah became pregnant and presented him with a son. Rachel named him Dan, for she said, Yahuwah has vindicated me. He has heard my request and given me a son. Then Bilhah became pregnant again and gave Jacob a second son. Rachel named him Naphtali, for she said, I have struggled hard with my sister, and I am winning. I'm like, I'm mad y'all think this a game. Sis, Rachel, you got a problem with me. Your real problem should be with Daddy. Go talk to him. He the one that started all this crap. Right? Rachel named him Naphtali, for she said, I have struggled hard with my sister, and I am winning. Meanwhile, Leah realized she wasn't getting pregnant anymore. So she took her servant, Zilpah, and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Soon Zilpah presented him with a son. Leah named him Gad, for she said, "How fortunate I am." Then Zilpah gave Jacob a second son. Leah named him Asher, for she said, "What joy is mine! Now the other women will celebrate with me." One day, during the wheat harvest, Reuben found some mandrakes growing in the field and brought them to his mother, Leah. Rachel begged Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But Leah angrily replied, "Wasn't it enough that you stole my husband? Now you steal my son's mandrakes too?" Rachel answered, "Okay, sis, look, okay. What if I let Jacob sleep with you tonight and you give me some of the mandrakes?" So that evening, Jacob was coming home from the fields. Leah went out to meet him. "You must come sleep with me tonight," she said. "I have paid for you with some mandrakes that my son found." I can imagine what Jacob's response was, but it couldn't have been too bad because he went through with that deal. Hold on. "I have paid for you with some mandrakes my son found." So that night, he slept with Leah. He might not have been too mad. He went on in there because Leah was beautiful too. And Yahuwah answered Leah's prayer. She became pregnant again and gave birth to a fifth son for Jacob. She named him Issachar, for she said, "Yahuwah has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband as a wife." I don't know how they could believe that, but anyway, I keep my comments to myself. Then Leah became pregnant again and gave birth to a sixth son for Jacob. She named him Zebulun, for she said, "Yahuwah has given me a good reward." Shalom, shalom, mother. Aliyah, I see you back. Okay, yeah. Sorry for the cutoff at first. Hold on. He said, y'all can't see this. He said, "Our mother, Leah, had Marco Polo eyes, though. That's why Jacob was like, heck no." That's funny. Okay. She named him Zebulun, for she said, "Yahuwah has given me a good reward. Now my husband will treat me with respect, for I have given him 6 sons." Later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then Yahuwah remembered Rachel's plight and answered her prayers by enabling her to have children. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. "Yahuwah has removed my disgrace," she said, and she named him Joseph, for she said, "May Yahuwah add yet another son to my family." Soon after Rachel had given birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Please release me so I can go home to my own country. Let me take my wives and children, for I have earned them by serving you, and let me be on my way. You certainly know how hard I work for you." "Please listen to me," Laban said. "I have become wealthy, for Yahuwah has blessed me because of you." Laban knew that. He knew that Yah was with him. He was thinking maybe she was cross-eyed. And she could have been. She could have been cross-eyed, Trina. I don't know. She could have been cross-eyed. You know, men don't care about that either. Good morning, Christina. They don't care. They cross-eyed, missing one eye with an eye patch. You got a beautiful shape. And sometimes you ain't got to have beautiful shape. What? I can? Oh, come on, sis. Let's go to your room. You know what I'm saying? "Please listen to me," Laban replied. "I have become wealthy, for Yahuwah has blessed me because of you. Tell me how much I owe you. Whatever it is, I'll pay it." Jacob replied, "You know how hard I've worked for you and how your flocks and herds have grown under my care. You had little indeed before I came, but your wealth has increased enormously. Yahuwah has blessed you through everything I've done. But now, what about me? When can I start providing for my own family?" "What wages do you want?" Laban asked. Jacob replied, "Don't give me anything. Just do this one thing, and I'll continue to tend and watch over your flocks. Let me inspect your flocks today and remove all the sheep and goats that are speckled or spotted, along with all the black sheep. Give these to me as my wages. In the future, when you check on the animals you have given me as my wages, you will see that I have been honest. If you find in my flock any goats without speckles or spots, or any sheep that are not black, you will know that I have stolen them from you." "All right," Laban replied. It would be as you say." But that very day, Laban went out and removed the male goats that were streaked and spotted, all the female goats that were speckled and spotted or had white patches, and all the black sheep. He placed them in the care of his own sons, who took them a 3 days' journey from where Jacob was. Meanwhile, Jacob stayed and cared for the rest of Laban's flock. Now, apparently, Laban missed some of the ones that he went in there deceitfully. He just agreed to this with Jacob, and then went and took all the male goats and stuff, all the male goats and sheep, so that the flock that Jacob had couldn't reproduce. But apparently he missed a few, and he did not know it. Our women are beautiful, nevertheless, wouldn't trade them for anything. I know that's right, LEAH. I know. Meanwhile, Jacob stayed and cared for the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took some fresh branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees and peeled off strips of bark, making white streaks on them. Then he placed these peeled branches in watering troughs where the flocks came to drink, for that was where they made it. And when they made it in front of the white streaked branches, they gave birth to young that were streaked, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated those lambs from Laban's flock, and at mating time he turned the flock to face Laban's animals that were streaked or black. This is how he built his own flock instead of increasing Laban's. Whenever the stronger females were ready to mate, Jacob would place the peeled branches and the watering troughs in front of them. Then they would mate in front of the branches. But he didn't do this with the weaker ones, so that the weaker lambs belonged to Laban, and the stronger ones were Jacob's. As a result, Jacob became very wealthy with large large flocks of sheep and goats, female and male servants, and many camels and donkeys. All right, y'all. So that's our reading for this right here. Now we're going to jump right on here. Let me move this before I do the same thing and cut my live off. Okay, so now we're about to jump right over here to Jasher 31, and we're going to fill in this missing piece about Rachel and Leah, right? And it's quite hilarious. It really is. Hold on. What is it? I'm sorry. 31. What did I say? Did I say 27? Or did I say 31? If I said 27, I meant 31, y'all. Okay. All right. Jasher chapter 31, y'all. And in the 7th year, Jacob's service, which he served Laban, was completed. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my woman, for the days of my service are fulfilled. And Laban did so. And Laban and Jacob assembled all the people of that place, and they made a feast. And in the evening, Laban came to the house, and afterward Jacob came there with the people of the feast. And Laban extinguished all the lights that were in the house. So it could have been dark outside, but Laban also turned off all the lights in the house. That's what it just said. Laban extinguished all the lights that were in the house. So now we know he about to start some shenanigans. So pay attention to the details of what happened here on how he could have possibly tricked Jacob. Listen. And Jacob said unto Laban, wherefore do you do this thing unto us? And Laban answered, such is our custom to act in this land. And afterward Laban took his daughter Leah, and he brought her to Jacob. And he came to her, and Jacob did not know that she was Leah. And Laban gave his daughter Leah, his maid Zilpah, for a handmaid. Hold on, wait a minute. Did I? Hold on, I think I may have. Hold on, y'all. I want to make sure I didn't skip over that part where hold on, y'all. I just want to make sure. Let me keep reading, y'all. Hold on, because I think, hold on, boy. Okay, maybe I didn't skip over it. Hold on. Because it tells you a detail about Rachel and Leah. And I just want to make sure it was in this chapter. Okay, let me keep reading. And if it's not here, it's definitely got to be back in this chapter. And I'm going to just tell you what it is. We don't find it. Okay. And Laban extinguished all the lights that were in the house. And and Jacob said unto Laban, wherefore do you do this thing unto us? And Laban answered, such is our custom to act in this land. And afterward Laban took his daughter Leah, and he brought her to Jacob, and he came to her, and Jacob did not know that she was Leah. And Laban gave his daughter Leah, his maid Zilpah, for a handmaid. And all the people at the feast knew what Laban had done. Listen, all the people at the feast knew. The age part is it is a few chapters earlier. Okay, hold on, y'all. Let me see. Let me read this first. Abraham. Okay, so it has to be in the previous chapter because this goes back here to Abimelech. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. I just want to make sure. I know right here. Hold on. Let me just read this. Okay, so it's right here in verse 13 or 14, but it's not giving that one detail that I was telling y'all about. That's why I'm thinking it. Hold on. I know it's in here. Maybe it is. Let me just keep reading. Then I'll come back to this. Hold on. Okay, let me keep reading. Then I'm going to tell you. And if I don't find it, I'm going to tell you what it was. I'm going to find it so you guys can read it. Okay. And Laban gave his daughter Leah his maid Zilpah for a handmaid. And all the people at the feast knew what Laban had done to Jacob, but they did not tell the thing to Jacob. And all the neighbors came that night to Jacob's house, and they ate and drank and rejoiced, and played before Leah upon timbrels with dances. And they responded before Jacob, "Hey Leah, hey Leah." So they sang a song, right? Remember, it's not Rachel that's in here, it's Leah. And all the people knew it was Leah, right? And they was even singing the song, "Hey Leah, hey Leah." And Jacob heard their words, but did not understand their meaning. But he thought such might be their custom in this land. So although the people didn't tell him, hey, the daddy didn't just switch them out on you, and they didn't tell him, but they were singing it in a song, but he still didn't pick it up because it said Jacob didn't understand the words of the song. They telling him indirectly, this ain't Rachel, this is Leah. Okay, and Jacob heard their, I'm going to go back. And all the neighbors came that night to Jacob's house, and they ate and drank and rejoiced, and played before Leah upon timbrels and with dances. And they responded before Jacob, "Hey Leah, hey Leah." And Jacob heard their words, but did not understand their meaning. But he thought such might be their custom in this land. And the neighbors spoke these things before Jacob during the night, and all the lights and all the lights that were in the house of Laban that night had been extinguished. And in the morning, when the daylight appeared, Jacob turned to his woman, and he saw, and behold, it was Leah that had been lying in his bosom. And Jacob said, "Behold, now I know what the neighbors said last night. Hey Leah, they said, and I knew it not." So he immediately knew that they was trying to tell him when he heard them say, "Hey Leah, hey Leah." And Jacob called unto Laban and said unto him, "What is this that you did unto me? Surely I served you for Rachel, and why did you deceive me and did give me Leah?" And Laban answered Jacob, saying, "Not so is it done in our place to give the younger before the elder now. Therefore you desire to take her sister likewise. Take her unto you for the service which you will serve me for another 7 years." And Jacob did so. And he also took Rachel for a woman, and he served Laban 7 years more. And Jacob also came to Rachel, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. And Laban gave her his maid Bilhah for a handmaid. And when Yahuwah saw that Leah was hated, Yahuwah opened her womb, and she conceived and bore Jacob 4 sons in those days. And these are their names: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. And afterward she left bearing. And at the time Rachel was barren, she had no offspring, and Rachel envied her sister Leah. And when Rachel saw that she bore no children to Jacob, she took her handmaid Bilhah, and she bore Jacob 2 sons, Dan and Naphtali. And when Leah saw that she had left bearing, she also took her handmaid Zilpah, and she gave her to Jacob for a woman. And Jacob also came to Zilpah, and she also bore Jacob 2 sons, Gad and Asher. And Leah again conceived and bore Jacob in those days 2 sons and 1 daughter. And these are their names: Issachar, Zebulun, and their sister Dinah. And Rachel was still barren in those days. And Rachel prayed unto Yahuwah at that time, and she said, O Yahuwah, remember me and visit me, I beseech you, for now my man will cast me off, for I have borne him no children. O Yahuwah, hear my supplication before you, and see my affliction, and give me children like one of the handmaids, that I may no more bear my reproach. And Yahuwah heard her, and opened her womb. And Rachel conceived and bore a son, and she said, Yahuwah has taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, saying, May Yahuwah add to me another son. And Jacob was 91 years old when she bore him. At that time, Jacob's mother, Rebekah, sent her nurse Deborah, the daughter of Uz, and two of Isaac's servants unto Jacob. And they came to Jacob to Haran, and they said unto him, Rebekah hath sent us to you, that you shall return to your father's house to the land of Canaan. And Jacob hearkened unto them in this which his mother had spoken. Okay, hold on, because I don't think it's going to give it right here. So let me just go ahead and tell you what it was. Okay, the reason why he could be tricked. And Tiffany, I don't know if you found the exact part where it tells you where it was. In here, okay, he went to the house. Okay, so he was able to Laban was able to trick Jacob because Rachel and Leah were twins. Rachel came out after Leah did, but they were the same age, and it says that they both had beautiful shapes. They were beautiful. Or maybe it was in Jubilees. I'm gonna find it, y'all, but it tells you that part. I'm gonna copy and paste it so you can read it word for word, because I was going back and forth between Jubilees and Jasher, because Jubilees and Jasher tells the same stories, but Jasher expands it more than Jubilees, and even Jubilees expands the beginning more than Genesis. So I want to make sure y'all read that. But that's how he was able to trick Jacob, because they looked identical, but you could tell them apart. And the reason why you could tell them apart is because Rachel had strong eyes and Leah had weak eyes, whatever that means. And like I said, I don't understand what it meant by Leah had weak eyes, but they were twins, and they were beautiful, and it talked about both of their shapes. They both had beautiful shapes, which was probably why she kept popping them children, even though it says that she wasn't loved, but Rachel was loved. So I'm going to find that part for y'all. Tiffany, if you find it for me, please post it in there so I can copy all the verses where it's talking about that so everybody can read it. But if you don't find it, I'm definitely going to find it when we get done, and I'm going to post it either way, y'all. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, verse 24 of Jasher 31. At that time, the other 7 years which Jacob served Laban for Rachel were completed. And it was at the end of 14 years that he had dwelt in Haran that Jacob said unto Laban, Give me my women, and send me away, that I may go to my land. For behold, my mother did send unto me from the land of Canaan, that I should return to my father's house. And Laban said unto him, remember why his mother sent him away, because Esau was pissed at him because he said he stole the blessing in his birthright, but he didn't. We clearly read yesterday that Esau willingly gave it over because he was in duress. He thought his life was about to end because he had just killed the mightiest man upon the earth, which was Nimrod, and two of his top men. So he was running from his life. That's why when he ran into the house with Jacob, when Jacob was cooking them red beans and rice, or that red lentil stew that it said he was fixing, he was his strength was, he was exhausted. That's what it said. He was exhausted because he had been running. He had stolen them garments off of Nimrod. He went and hid them in his father's house. Now he was back. He's like, look, I'm about to die anyways. Nimrod man about to catch up with me. So what is my birthright to me? You go on here. And he sold everything to his brother because he thought he was going to die that day. That's why. So, but remember, this is why Jacob in the first place came to Laban's house. So his brother Esau's anger could subside. We clearly know that Esau didn't die. Nimrod's men did not come find him, so he lived. So now he pissed that he didn't gave his stuff away, right? Okay, just remember that. And Laban said unto him, Not so, I pray you. If I have found favor in your sight, do not leave me. Appoint me your wages, and I will give them, and remain with me. And Jacob said unto him, This is what you shall give me for wages, that shall this day pass through all your flocks, and take away from them every lamb that is speckled and spotted, and such as are brown amongst the sheep and amongst the goats. And if you would do this thing for me, I will return and feed your flock and keep them as at the first. And Laban did so, and Laban removed from his flock all that Jacob had said and gave them to him. And Jacob placed all that he had removed from Laban's flock in the hands of his sons, and Jacob was feeding the remainder of Laban's flock. And when the servants of Isaac, which he had sent unto Jacob, saw that Jacob would not then return with them to the land of Canaan to his father, they then went away from him. And they returned home to the land of Canaan. And Deborah remained with Jacob in Haran, and she did not return with the servants of Isaac to the land of Canaan. And Deborah resided with Jacob's women and the children in Haran. And Jacob served Laban 6 years longer. And when the sheep brought forth, Jacob removed from them such as were speckled and spotted, and he had determined with Laban. And Jacob did so at Laban's for 6 years. And the man increased abundantly, and he had cattle and maidservants and men servants, camels and asses. And Jacob had 200 drove of cattle, and his cattle were of a large size and of a beautiful appearance, and were very productive. And all the families of the sons of men desired to get some of the cattle of Jacob, for they were exceedingly prosperous. And many of the sons of men came to procure some of Jacob's flock, and Jacob gave them a sheep for a manservant or a maidservant, or an ass or a camel, or whatsoever Jacob desired from them, they gave him. And Jacob obtained riches and honor and possessions by means of these transactions with the sons of men, and the children of Laban envied him of this honor. And in the course of time he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and of that which is of our fathers has he acquired all this glory. No, he didn't. Laban was standing on his last two legs before Jacob showed up, and it was because of Jacob. And even Laban said, it is clearly because of you that Yahuwah has blessed my house. And so his sons, they looking at him side-eyed now. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban and of his children, and behold, it was not toward him in those days as it had been before. And Yahuwah appeared to Jacob at the expiration of the 6 years, and said unto him, Arise and go forth out of this land, and return to the land of your birthplace, and I will be with you. And Jacob rose up at that time, and he mounted his children and women, And Jacob rose up at that time, and he mounted his children and women, and all belonging to him upon camels, and he went forth to the land of Canaan to his father Isaac. And Laban did not know that Jacob had gone from him, for Laban had been that day sheep shearing. Now, listen to this, y'all, what Rachel did. And listen, because in the regular canonized books of the Bible, in Genesis, it tells us that Rachel stole the gods of her father, which she did. But this gives us details of how these gods were created and what they actually did. Listen to this, y'all. And it reminds me, and it's funny, because me and my husband was watching Storage Wars day before yesterday. And one of them, it was funny, because if y'all ever see, I think it's called Storage Wars, where, people don't pay their storage bill and then they auction it off, right? So in this one particular one of the guys, it's always the same people. Well, not always the same, but it's different people showing up. But one of the guys that's always up there purchasing stuff, purchasing the storage units, this time he brought a psychic with him, and a couple of other guys like, man, we sick of your crap, you doing all this. And so what they'll do, they'll unlock the storage before the auction starts. They say you get 5 minutes, you can't go in, you can't touch anything, all you can do is just look, and we're going to open it for 5 minutes, and then the bidding is going to start, right? So they lift it up for 5 minutes and they're going to close it. So you got to pay attention, you can't go in. But what this one guy did, he brought a psychic this time, and they was up there when they lifted it up. The psychic was there, it's like, and I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, look at this crap. I'm like, okay, let's see what they're going to come up with, right? And so the psychic's up there like, and the people looking around like, are you serious? Are you serious? Get them out of here, but it's like, hold on, just give us like 30 more seconds. I'm picking up something. I'm like, you know what? And I'm thinking, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, right? So I'm like, okay, let's see what this girl get out of this, right? So Make a long story short, when it was done, he bid on it. She said, well, there's something, I'm picking up some bad energy from this. And of course, everybody like, man, get out of here with that crap. Ain't nothing here. So anyway, and he said, okay, so you picked up bad energy. Should I not bid on it? She said, oh no, bid on it. But I'm just saying, whatever it is that's in there, it's going to cause great harm to your household if you take it into your house. Now, me, I'm thinking, okay, that sounds quite right. Because, when we're growing up, we learn about different things going in the church. Okay, demon spirits and stuff. Okay, well, you stay away from that. And if you do something in your house, it could invite the devil in. So all these things running through my head, right? I'm like, well, I heard that before. Okay, we're going to roll with this and see what becomes of this. And if anything in the storage, right? So he said, so should I not, or should I bid on it? She said, oh yeah, bid on it. But whatever this is in here, just don't take it in your house. And I would have been like, yep, I'm not going to bid on it at all. So, but anyway, he bid on it. He won it. So when they went in there, they was cautious while they was going around looking through stuff. And then there was this cooler, like a cooler you put sodas and stuff in, to get drinks if you're going out on a picnic or whatever. It was like this old cooler, and it looked like they had been using it for fishing or something, but they opened it up. And it's like, of course it goes to a commercial. But then it come back on, and it looked like hair. And he was like, is that a wig? What is that? So they picked up something, and they picked it up. And lo and behold, guess what it was? It was a shrunken head. So now, what I want to say is some of these psychics and stuff, they do pick up real information, but I'm never suggesting that you ever go to a psychic, because Yahuwah say that is a no-no, because they're tapping into the spiritual realm illegally, and eventually it's going to get you in trouble, and they're going to lose their lives. So thou shalt not suffer in which to live among you. Don't even go that route. But what she picked up when she was standing there, I'm picking up bad vibes or something, she was right. There was a shrunken head. And remember, shrunken heads are used in voodoo and different types of rituals. And real shrunken heads actually come from real heads of living people, because they took that shrunken head. He didn't take it to his house. He took it to like this place that purchased artifacts and stuff like this. And she said, yeah, this is a shrunken head, because it had the lips sewed together with string and stuff. But she said it wasn't an authentic shrunken head. Somebody else created this, because real shrunken heads come from heads of real people, and they cast spells on them and it shrinks them. Some people don't believe that, but that stuff is real. Stay away from it. But she explained that to him, and he was like, oh, okay. But anyway, she gave him money for it, and it went off. So I brought that up because this gives you, Jasher gives you the detail of the type of gods that Rachel stole from her father Laban. So let's get back to it. So pay attention, y'all. Listen. Verse 39. And Laban did not know that Jacob had gone from him, for Laban had been that day shearing sheep. And Rachel stole her father's images, and she took them and she concealed them upon the camel upon which she sat, and she went on. And in this manner of the images, and this is the manner of the images, in taking a man who was the firstborn and slaying him. So in order for them to create their images that they're made with their hands, it's saying that they took a firstborn, right? A real live human being, a firstborn. Listen. And this is the manner of the images, in taking a man who is the firstborn and slaying him, and taking the hair off his head, and taking salt and salting the head and anointing it in oil, then taking a small tablet of copper or a tablet of gold and writing the name upon it, and placing the tablet under its tongue, and taking the head with the tablet under the tongue, and putting it in the house, and lighting up lights before it, and bowing down to it. At that time, when they bow down to it, it speaks to them in all manners that they ask of it, through the power of the name which is written in it. And some of them make some make them in figures of men, of gold, silver, and to go to them in times known to them, and the figures receive the influence of the stars and tell them future things. And in this manner were the images which Rachel stole from her father. And Rachel stole these images which were her father's, in order that Laban might not know through them where Jacob had gone. So essentially, these things were getting information, and we know what it was getting information from. If you read the book of Enoch, we know what these angels who had defected from their heavenly posts, what they were doing. So that's not, they weren't actually gods. They were the fallen angels, the ones who were here, not the ones who were bound under the earth, but the ones whose habitation is here on the earth. Those are the ones. Remember, they can manifest themselves or they can conceal themselves. That's what it tells us. Y'all really should read the book of Enoch. And it tells us that in Enoch chapter 15. You really should read the entire book of Enoch, right? And it tells us that. So a lot of these things where you get like half-baked teachings in church, you can get the full understanding. That's why I said, don't throw all the teachings out. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because some things they taught you right, but some things were half-baked and they didn't give you a full understanding. So you got to read the missing pieces so you can understand fully what was happening here, what's going on. So Laban actually had gods who would talk to him and who would answer him. These were heads of people who lived. And the spirits who were here, that are bound here to the earth, who can conceal or make themselves known, is the spirits who were, let's just say, speaking through these dead heads of the men, the gods that they created, right? Okay, now that we understand that. All right, stay away from soothsayers, magicians, spiritists, psychics, all of them. Stay away, because they're really dabbling in otherworldly powers, y'all. I'm telling you, it's real. And Laban came home, and he asked concerning Jacob and his household, and he was not to be found. And Laban sought his images to know where Jacob had gone, and could not find them. And he went to some other images, and he inquired. And he went to some other images, and he inquired of them. And they told him that Jacob had fled from him to his fathers to the land of Canaan. So Rachel didn't get all the gods. Now I understand why she did what she did. They was trying to get away from there, so her father wouldn't know where they went and roll up on them, be like, no, come back, everybody. So that was Rachel's thought in taking her father's gods. Because I originally used to think, before I knew this, I thought that she stole the gods because she was going to be worshiping. I was like, well, maybe she was worshiping these guys, and when they left, she wanted to take them with her so she can continue worshiping them. But apparently that wasn't the case. But she died because she took it because of the oath that Jacob had spoken. Remember, he said, if you find your gods among us, the person who stole them shall surely die. But he didn't realize that it was the woman, his wife, that he truly loved, Rachel, right? But Rachel thought she was doing what was good, so he wouldn't catch up to her husband. So they should have just came to get, she should have just wanted to talk to Jacob. Like, listen, this, and they could have got some insight from y'all. Rachel could have kept her life, but miscommunication got Rachel dead, bro. But she thought she was doing what was right. Y'all see it? She thought she was doing what was right, but she ended up dead anyway, right? Man, y'all got to fill in the pieces. Okay, I read 45 over. And Laban came home, and he asked concerning Jacob and his household, and he was not to be found. And Laban sought his images to know where Jacob had gone, and could not find them. And he went to some other images, and he inquired of them. And they told him that Jacob had fled from him to his fathers to the land of Canaan. And Laban then rose up and took his brothers and all his servants, and went forth and pursued Jacob, and he overtook them in Mount Gilead. And Laban said unto Jacob, what is this you have done to me, to flee and deceive me, and lead my daughters and their children as captives, taken by the sword? And you did not suffer me to kiss them and send them away with joy. And you did steal my gods and did go away. And Jacob answered Laban, saying, because I was afraid lest you would take your daughters by force from me. And now with whomsoever you find your gods, he shall die. Yeah. Y'all want to make sure y'all got all the information first before y'all go in here and start saying stuff. I mean, but I get it, men talking to men, because he just knew his wives. It wasn't them. If you find your gods, then the person who took them gonna die. And Laban searched. Well, first of all, he should have paused. Like, hold on, let me check first, because if he knew the quarrels that was going on between Rachel and Leah, they is their daddy children. Let me go. Let me check first before I say this out my mouth. Hey, don't see your father's images, but Rachel probably would have lied. I'm not saying she would have, but she might have. There was the possibility that she could have lied to Jacob because Laban was there. And after Laban would have left, she would have probably told him the truth. So, but either way, she gone. And Laban searched for the images, and he examined in all of Jacob's tents and furniture, but could not find them. And Laban said unto Jacob, we will cut a covenant together, and it shall be for a testimony between me and you. If you shall afflict my daughters, or shall take other women besides my daughters, even God shall be witness between me and you this day in this manner. And they took stones and made a heap, and Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and you. Therefore he called the name thereof Gilead. And Jacob and Laban offered sacrifice upon the mount, and they ate there by the heap. Remember, when they sacrifice, and a lot of times in these places where they're talking about sacrifices, that word is misplaced, and it shouldn't be sacrifice. You know, although they did kill an animal, it clearly says that they ate, right? And I remember I brought that out to y'all before. And Jacob and Laban offered sacrifice upon the mount, and they ate there by the heap, and they tarried in the mount all night. And Laban rose up early in the morning, and he wept with his daughters and kissed them, and he returned to his place. And he hastened and sent off his son Beor, who was 17 years old, with Abi-Koroth, the son of Ups, the son of Nahor, and with them were 10 men. And they hastened and went and passed before the road before Jacob, and they came by another road to the land of Seir. And there they came unto Esau, and said unto him, thus says your brother and relative, your mother's brother Laban, the son of Bethuel, saying, have you heard what Jacob your brother has done unto me, who first came to me naked and bare? And I went to meet him, and I brought him to my house with honor, and I made him great, and I gave him my 2 daughters for women, and also 2 of my maids. So Laban, in his going back, he's being deceitful, running across Esau, because he heard all how Esau was pissed with him. So now he's sending his sons and his friend's son back, and they cross path with Esau when Jacob and them is about to return home, trying to keep this strife going between them, right? But I don't know if this is going to get to that today. Hold on. We'll just keep reading. We'll see. Okay. And I gave him 2 of my daughters for women, and also 2 of my maids. And Yahuwah blessed him on my account, and he increased abundantly. You see what this? You see how he just changed his words to Laban being two-faced. Laban clearly told Jacob, I have been blessed on your account. Yahuwah blessed me because of you, Jacob. And now he's sending his son and the other kids back, and they're crossing paths with Esau, and they telling him that Yahuwah blessed Jacob because of Laban. Listen to this. And Yahuwah blessed him on my account, and he increased abundantly and had sons and daughters and maidservants. He also an immense stock of flocks and herds and camels and asses, also silver and gold in abundance. And when he saw that his wealth increased, he left me while I went to shear my sheep, and he rose up and fled in secrecy. And he lifted his women and children upon camels, and he led away all his cattle and property, which he acquired in my land. And he lifted up his countenance to go to his father Isaac, to the land of Canaan. He did not suffer me to kiss my daughters and their children, and he led my daughters as captives, taken by the sword. And he also stole my gods, and he fled. And now I have left him in the mountain of the brook of Jabbok, him and all belonging to him. He lacks nothing. If it be your wish to go to him, go then, and there you will find him, and you can do unto him as your soul desires. And Laban's messengers came and told Esau all those things. And Esau heard all the words of Laban's messengers, and his anger was greatly kindled against Jacob. And he remembered his hatred, and his anger burned within him. And Esau hastened and took his children and his servants and the souls of his household, being 60 men. And he went and assembled all the children of Seir, the Kori and their people, being 340 men, and took all this number of 400 men with drawn swords. And he went unto Jacob to smite him. And Esau divided this number into several parts, and he took 60 men of his children and servants and the souls of his household as one head, and gave them in the care of Eliphaz, his oldest son. Yeah, Alicia said it's the lies for me. I'm telling you. Laban gonna get his, though, for exactly what he just did. We read later that Laban dies because of this thing right here, how he set Jacob up. It says that in Jasher. And the remaining heads he gave to the care of the 6 sons of Seir the Kori, and he placed every man over his generations and children. And the whole of this camp went as it was, and Esau went amongst them towards Jacob, and he conducted them with speed. And Laban's messengers departed from Esau and went to the land of Canaan, and they came to the house of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. And they told her, saying, Behold, your son Esau has gone against his brother Jacob with 400 men. Like, y'all just set this up. Now you run. Okay, let me keep reading. Behold, your son Esau has gone against his brother Jacob with 400 men, for he heard that he was coming, and he is going to make war with him and to smite him and to take all that he has. And Rebekah hastened and sent 72 men from the servants of Isaac to meet Jacob on the road. For she said, Perchance Esau may make war in the road when he meets him. And these messengers went on the road to meet Jacob, and they met him in the road of the brook on the opposite side of the brook Jabbok. And Jacob said when he saw them, This camp is destined to me from Yahuwah. And Jacob called the name of that place Machanaim. And Jacob knew all his father's people, and he kissed them and embraced them and came with them. And Jacob asked them concerning his father and mother, and they said, They are well. And these messengers said unto Jacob, Rebekah your mother has sent us to you, saying, I have heard, my son, that your brother Esau has gone forth against you on the road with the men from the children of Seir and Kori. And therefore, my son, hearken to my voice and see with your counsel what you will do. Now, mind you, Jacob has been in Laban's land for a very long time. So when these people came back up to Esau had, his anger had subsided. But when Laban's men, came and told him this, he just got pissed off all over again, And so now and his mama heard of it, and his mama was the one that sent him away in the first place, telling Isaac, listen, we should send him this way, boom, 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 so he can get a wife, trying to sweet talk Isaac so she can get him out there. And that's what she meant. Remember in here where it says, go to my uncle Laban's house, for why should I lose you both in one day? It tells us, you got to go back a little bit. It tells us, in here in Jasher, it tells you that when she said that, why should I lose you both in one day? She was talking about losing both Esau and Jacob. Remember, Esau and Jacob were twins, right? They were born at the same time, and she said that if they began to fight, they may kill each other. So why should I lose you both in one day? You should go to my brother's house, Laban, your uncle. Go there, So that's why I say y'all gotta fill in these missing pieces. So some of this ambiguous talk here in this canonized 66 books, you can understand it, right? Okay. And therefore, my son, hearken to my voice and see with your counsel what you will do. And when he comes up to you, supplicate him and do not speak rashly to him, and give him a present from what you possess and from what Yahuwah has favored you with. And when he asks you concerning your affairs, conceal nothing from him. Perhaps he may turn his anger against you, and you thereby save your soul, you and all belonging to you, for it is your duty to honor him, for he is your older brother. And remember, even though it says the same thing about Jacob and Esau, how one was older and one was younger, but they were twins. It was the same way that they talked about Leah and Rachel. I'm gonna post that in there for y'all. But Esau was the older, Jacob was the younger. That's how they refer to them, but they were born at the same time. They were twins. For he is your elder brother. And when Jacob heard the words of his mother, which the messengers had spoken to him, Jacob lifted up his voice and wept bitterly, and did as his mother then commanded him. And that, y'all, we're going to pick up the rest of this tomorrow. So y'all going to see what happens, how Jacob cries out to Yah about him now knowing that Esau is pissed with him again, and he's on his way there. We're going to see some supernatural things happen from the time Esau travels to the road to the time he gets to Jacob. I think that should not have been taken out. If that had been left in, we would get the bigger picture and how powerful Yah is and how he fights for us when we cry out to him. Okay, so that's it for that today. And like I said in the beginning, I want to jump over and I'm going to read something that I should have read earlier when we were talking about Noah, just so we can fill in a couple places. So this is not going to take that long. It's only 27 verses. We're going to the last chapter of Enoch, which is Enoch chapter 5. Okay, remember, Yahuwah had told them the flood was coming. But remember, even from Adam and Eve knew that a flood was coming, right? So all all up until the time of Noah. Everybody had been hearing about this because Yahuwah first told Adam and Eve about it. So, all right, Enoch chapter 5. After a time, my son Methuselah, remember Methuselah is the son of Enoch, the one who Yahuwah took, remember, but he didn't take him immediately. We read about, did we read it? We read about, yeah, we did. We read about how Enoch was with them and was teaching them, and he reigned over the sons of men. I think it was 243 years, right? Where he was going back and forth, teaching them the ways of Yah. Okay, listen. After a long time, my son Methuselah took a woman for his son Lamech. She became pregnant by him and brought forth a child, the flesh of which was white as snow. And if you ever hear people talking about, I think Noah was albino, this is where they get it from, because they have read Enoch chapter 105. This is where that comes from. She became pregnant by him and brought forth a child, the flesh of which was as white as snow and red as a rose, the hair of whose head was white like wool and long, and whose eyes were beautiful. When he opened them, he illuminated all the house like the sun. The whole house was abounded with light. And when he was taken from the hand of the midwife, Lamech his father became afraid of him. Now, remember, because this was the time, this was before the flood happened, so the people knew that the offspring of angels, what they looked like and how they were going big. So he was afraid that Noah was not of human flesh, not of the sons of men. He thought he was the offspring of one of the angels, right? Listen. And when he was taken from the hand of the midwife, Lamech his father became afraid of him, and flying away came to his own father. Flying, he didn't fly like he ran to his father. Okay, just make sure we're on the same page here. And flying away came to his own father Methuselah and said, I have begotten a son unlike others. He is not of men, but resembling the offspring of the angels of heaven, is of a different nature, being altogether unlike to us. His eyes as the rays of the sun, his countenance glorious, and he looks not as if he belonged to me, but to the angels. I am afraid lest something miraculous should take place on the earth in his days. And now, my father, let me entreat and request you to go to our progenitor Enoch and learn from him the truth, for his residence is with the angels. And Methuselah heard the words of his son, and he came to me at the extremities of the earth, for he had been informed that I was there, and he cried out. Remember, this is Enoch speaking. Methuselah heard that his father Enoch was at the extremities of the earth, and he came to him. I heard his voice and went to him, saying, Behold, I am here, my son, since you have come to me. He answered and said, On account of a great event have I come to you, and on account of a sight difficult have I approached you. And now, my father, hear me. For to my son Lamech a child has been born who resembles not like him, and whose nature is not like the nature of man. His color is whiter than snow. He is redder than the rose. The hair of his head is whiter than white wool. His eyes are like the rays of the sun, and when he opened them, he illuminated the whole house. When also he was taken from the hand of the midwife, his father Lamech feared and fled to me, believing not what belonged to him, but that he resembled the angels of heaven. And behold, I am come to you, that you might point out to me the truth. Then I, Enoch, answered and said, Yahuwah will effect a new thing upon the earth. This have I explained and seen in a vision. And I have shown you that in the generations of Jared my father, those who were from heaven disregarded the word of Yahuwah. Behold, they committed crimes, laid aside their class, and intermingled with women. With them also they transgressed, married with them, and begot children, who are not like spiritual beings, but creatures of flesh. And, you know, like, well, they were the giants. So some people, you hear today, people say, oh, they the Nephilim. They're like flesh and spirit beings, but we can see them. They can't make themselves invisible, but they are of two different natures, right? That's what it's talking about here. And Enoch chapter 15 goes into detail about that. So if you haven't read it, go read it. Behold, they committed crimes, laid aside their class, and intermingled. When laid aside the class, they left their post, being angels or whatever. They weren't supposed to be having sex with the son of man. That's what it means when it said they left their class. They left from their post and they intermingled and had sex with the daughters of men, with human flesh. With them they also transgressed, married with them, and begot children who are not like spiritual beings, but creatures of flesh. A great destruction therefore shall come upon all the earth, a deluge, a great destruction shall take place in 1 year. This child which is born to your son shall survive on the earth, and his 3 sons shall be saved with him. Now mind you, Noah was just a baby at this point. Enoch knew, because Yahuwah had revealed to him everything that was going to happen, even through our days up until the day of judgment, what's going to happen here. So he already knew that Noah would have 3 children, right? This child which is born to your son shall survive on the earth, and his 3 sons shall be saved with him. When all mankind who are on the earth shall die, he shall be saved. And his posterity shall beget on the earth giants, not spiritual, but carnal. Upon the earth shall a great punishment be inflicted, and it shall be washed from all corruption. Now therefore inform your son Lamech that he who is born is his child in truth, and he shall call his name Noah. For he shall be to you a survivor. He and his children shall be saved from the corruption which shall take place in the world, from all the sin and from all the iniquity which shall be consummated on the earth in his days. Listen. Afterwards shall greater impiety take place than that which had been before consummated on the earth. For I am acquainted with holy mysteries, which Yahuwah himself has discovered and explained to me. So he said, even after the flood, even greater wicked things, greater impiety is going to happen on the earth, right? So we had the flood to wash away all the corruptness, the wickedness. But he said, even after that, it's going to get worse, which Yahuwah himself has discovered and explained to me, and which I have read in the tablets of heaven. In them I saw it written that generation after generation shall transgress, until a righteous race shall arise. And I believe that's our time now. Those of us who are returning back to Yahuwah's law, statutes, and commands, those things that Enoch was teaching to the sons of men, that Shem was teaching to the sons of men, to keep the ways of Yah. That's what it says. It tells us that back in Jubilees, that when this generation, this race of people will begin to return to Yah. Okay. In them I saw it written that generation after generation shall transgress, until a righteous race shall arise, until transgression and crime perish from off the earth, until all goodness come upon it. And now, my son, go tell your son Lamech that the child which is born in his child is truth, and that there is no deception. So go ahead and let him know his wife wasn't cheating. That is his baby. He is the baby's father. He the baby daddy. That the child which is born in his child, that the child which is born is his child in truth, and that there is no deception. When Methuselah heard the word of his father Enoch, who had shown him every secret thing, he returned with understanding, and he called the name of that child Noah, because he was to console the earth on account of all its destruction. Another sefer which Enoch wrote for his son Methuselah, and for those who should come after him, and guard their purity of conduct in the latter days. You who have labored shall wait in those days, until the evildoers be consummated, and the power of the guilty be annihilated. Wait until sin pass away, for their names shall be blotted out of the holy sephirim, or out of the holy scrolls, or out of the holy books. Remember, the sephir is a writing, it's a book, it's a scroll. This is a sephir, right? That's why it's called sephir. It simply means book, a scroll, something that we write in. Wait until sin pass away, for their names shall be blotted out of the holy sephirim. Their seed shall be destroyed, and their spirits slain. They shall cry out and lament in the invisible waste, and in the bottomless fire shall they burn. There I perceived, as it were, a cloud which could not be seen through, for from the depth of it I was unable to look upwards. I beheld also a flame of fire blazing brightly, and, as it were, glittering mountains whirled around and agitated from side to side. Then I inquired of the holy angels who was with me, and said, what is splendid? For it is not heaven, but a flame of fire alone which blazes, and the clamor of exclamation of woe and of great suffering. He said, there, into that place which you behold, shall be thrust, shall be thrust the spirits of sinners and blasphemers, of those who shall do evil, and who shall pervert all which Yahuwah has spoken by the mouth of the prophets, all which they ought to do. For respecting these things there shall be writings and impressions above in heaven, that the angels may read them and know what shall happen both to sinners and to the spirits of the humble, to those who have suffered in their bodies, but have been rewarded by Yahuwah, who have been injuriously treated by wicked men, who have loved Yahuwah, who have been attached to neither gold nor silver, nor to any good thing in the world, but have given their bodies to torment, to those who from the period of their birth have not been covetous of earthly riches, but have regarded themselves as a breath passing away. Such has been their conduct, and much has Yahuwah tried them, and their spirits have been found pure, that they might bless his name. All their blessings have I related to you in a sefer, and he has rewarded them, for they have been found to love heaven with an everlasting aspiration. While they have been trodden down by wicked men, they have heard from them revelings and blasphemies, and have been ignominiously treated, or badly treated. I'm sure that's what that means. While they were blessing me. And now will I call the spirits of the good from the generation of light, and will change those who have been born in darkness, who have not in their bodies been recompensed with glory, as their belief may have merited. I will bring them into the splendid light of those who love my holy name, and I will place each of them on a throne of glory his own, and they shall beat rest during unnumbered periods. Righteous is the judgment of Yahuwah, for to the believing shall he give belief in the habitations of uprightness. They shall see those who have been born in darkness, unto darkness shall be cast, while the righteous shall be at rest. Sinners shall cry out, beholding them, while they exist in splendor, and proceed forward to the days and periods prescribed to them. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. Jasher 28:28. Okay. Thank you, Tiffany. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me go to this real quick where, oh, thank you. Okay, I was right there. I kept looking over. Okay, y'all. Remember how I was telling you, it tells us, that Rachel and Leah were twins. Okay, it's found in Jasher 28:28. Thanks again, Tiffany. Thank you. I'm gonna read it to you real quick. And Yahuwah afterward remembered Adinah, the woman of Laban, and she conceived and bore twin daughters. And Laban called the names of his daughters, the name of the elder Leah, and the name of the younger Rachel. And those people came and told these things to Rebekah, and Rebekah rejoiced greatly that Yahuwah had visited her brother, and that he had begotten children. So it's found there. Okay. All right, y'all. So yeah, read all that when you get a chance, and it goes into a little more detail. But that was our reading for today, beautiful people. That was Genesis 28, 29, and 30. I gave you a couple different stories about a real life scenario with a guy who has 6 wives, and all 6 of them about 7-8 months pregnant. They did a whole little photo shoot. I thought that was good to share with you, seeing that we read about Leah and Rachel today, and all of their children that they was having back and forth, and giving their maid servants to Jacob and stuff. So that was Genesis 28, 29, and 30. We read Jasher 31, which filled in the details of everything that was happening with them. And we also just read Enoch. And we read that because I said I should have read that before while we were still with Noah. But I wanted to just backtrack a little bit so we can get that if you guys have never read it. But when you get a chance, please read the entire book of Enoch, So that's it, y'all. So let's go ahead and do the blessing, which is found in Numbers. Let me put this over here. Numbers chapter 6. All right, y'all. Remember the first 21 verses is the Nazarite vow. Number 6. And the last few verses, 22 through 27, is the blessing. Okay. All right, beautiful people. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his son, saying, On this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. I love y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me today here at my post as we stand it faithfully. I'll see y'all Monday morning, tomorrow. We rest. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday morning. Peace.